Native American tribes survived harsh wilderness for centuries without modern tools. They relied on 9 survival lessons that are simple, practical, and still useful today. So which of these skills could actually save your life? One of the most essential and surprisingly achievable skills is fire making. Fire making without matches or lighters sounds impossible until you learn the bow drill method that Native American tribes used for thousands of years. This technique creates fire using nothing but wood, string, and determination. The bow drill needs 4 basic parts: a bow made from any curved stick with string tied between the ends, a straight wooden drill that spins when you move the bow, a flat fireboard with a small notch cut into it, and tinder made from the finest, driest material you can find. Making fire this way is like trying to start a car by rubbing 2 sticks together, except it actually works. The secret lies in choosing the right wood types. Soft woods like cedar, willow, or basswood work best for the fireboard. Harder woods like oak make better drills. Everything must be completely dry or you'll just make frustration and blisters. The spinning motion creates friction between the drill and fireboard. This friction generates heat that eventually creates a glowing ember in the tinder. Most beginners think harder pressure means better results. Wrong. Steady, consistent pressure with smooth bow strokes works much better than frantic sawing. Tinder preparation separates successful fire makers from those who give up cold and hungry. Cedar bark shredded into fine fibers catches sparks instantly. Dry grass bundled loosely creates perfect kindling. The finer and drier your tinder, the easier it catches that precious ember. Wind conditions make or break your fire-starting efforts. A gentle breeze feeds oxygen to growing flames. Too much wind blows out your ember before it can grow. Smart fire builders choose sheltered spots protected by rocks or logs. Fire serves many purposes beyond just warmth. It cooks food safely, boils water to kill harmful bacteria, and keeps dangerous animals at a respectful distance. Think of fire as the original multi-tool that never needs batteries. It also provides light for working after dark and can signal for help when you're lost. Smoke signals were the first long-distance communication system. Different tribes developed their own codes using smoke patterns. 3 quick puffs meant danger was approaching. A steady column indicated all clear. Once you have fire, you need to know what's moving around you in the darkness. Animal tracks are like newspapers written in mud and sand, and Native American tribes were expert readers of these wilderness stories. Every footprint, broken branch, and patch of disturbed ground revealed valuable information about local wildlife. Reading tracks starts with recognizing basic shapes and patterns. Deer leave heart-shaped hoof prints. Bears make large paw prints with visible claw marks. Rabbits create small, round tracks that appear in pairs because they hop instead of walk. Fresh tracks have sharp, clear edges with fine details visible. Old tracks look fuzzy and worn down by weather. The difference between fresh and old tracks is like comparing a new pencil drawing to one that's been left in the rain. Deep tracks with dirt kicked backward show an animal was running. Wind direction becomes crucial when you're trying to get close to any animal. Most wild animals have incredibly sensitive noses that can detect human scent from hundreds of yards away. Always approach from downwind so your smell doesn't reach the animal before you do. Animal scat provides important clues about what lives in the area and when they pass through. Deer droppings look like small dark pellets scattered around. Bear scat is much larger and often contains berry seeds or other recognizable food items. Improvised traps become necessary when regular hunting tools aren't available. The deadfall trap uses a heavy log or rock balanced on carefully positioned trigger sticks. Snare traps use loops of rope, wire, or even strong plant fibers to catch animals by the neck or foot. Native hunters had a zero-waste policy that would make modern recyclers jealous. They used every part of their kill. Meat for food, hide for clothing and shelter, bones for tools and weapons, sinew for sewing thread. Patience separated successful hunters from hungry ones. Tribal hunters would track a single animal for days, learning its feeding schedule, sleeping spots, and travel routes. Understanding animal behavior patterns made hunting more predictable. Hunting provides meat, but plants offer a completely different kind of sustenance. Wild plants offer free food everywhere you look, but this natural grocery store doesn't come with ingredient labels or safety warnings. Native American tribes spent generations learning which plants would feed them and which ones would kill them. The golden rule of foraging is absolute certainty. When you're 99% sure a plant is safe to eat, that remaining 1% of doubt can be deadly. Eating the wrong wild plant is like playing Russian roulette with salad. Berries provide the safest starting point for beginning foragers. Blackberries, blueberries, raspberries, and strawberries grow wild across most regions. The general rule is that aggregate berries growing in clusters are usually safe, while single berries hanging alone are often poisonous. Nuts offer excellent nutrition and store well for winter. Acorns from oak trees were a primary food source for many tribes, though they need processing to remove bitter tannins. Walnuts, hickory nuts, and pine nuts can be eaten raw and provide essential fats and proteins. Edible greens grow almost everywhere but require expert identification skills. Dandelions are completely edible from flower to root and grow in most climates. Wild garlic has a strong onion smell and taste that makes identification easier. Seasonal timing determines what's available when. Spring brings tender young shoots and fresh greens. Summer offers ripe berries and fruits. Fall provides nuts, seeds, and root vegetables. Winter is the hardest season, but some plants like cattail roots remain available even under snow. The universal edibility test serves as a last resort when you're unsure about a plant's safety. Start by smelling it. Bad odors usually mean bad food. Rub a small piece on your skin and wait for irritation. Touch it to your lips, then your tongue, then chew a tiny bit without swallowing. Even mushroom experts sometimes make fatal mistakes, and oops isn't something you want carved on your tombstone. Some poisonous plants take days to show their deadly effects. Location affects plant safety too. Plants growing near polluted water sources absorb toxins. Many of these same plants that feed you can also heal you when sickness strikes. Natural medicine turns the entire wilderness into a pharmacy, but unlike modern drugstores, this one requires expert knowledge to avoid deadly mistakes. Native American tribes developed sophisticated understanding of which plants healed and which ones killed. Willow bark contains salicin, the same active ingredient found in aspirin tablets. Tribes chewed willow bark or brewed it into bitter tea to treat headaches, reduce fever, and ease pain. Nature invented aspirin long before chemists figured out how to make it in laboratories. Sage served multiple medicinal purposes beyond just seasoning food. Many tribes use dried sage as a natural antiseptic to clean wounds and prevent infections. They burned sage bundles and used the smoke to purify areas where sick people rested. Yarrow is a common plant with small white flowers that grows in most climates. Fresh yarrow leaves can stop bleeding when pressed firmly against cuts and scrapes. The plant contains natural compounds that help blood clot faster than normal. Echinacea, also called purple coneflower, boosted immune system function during cold and flu season. Tribes made tea from the roots and leaves to help fight off illness. Modern research confirms that echinacea can reduce both the length and severity of common cold symptoms. Dosage knowledge separated skilled healers from dangerous amateurs. The same plant that heals in small amounts can harm or kill in large doses. Medicine and poison are often the same thing, just in different amounts. Plant combinations often work better than single herbs alone. Native healers created complex formulas mixing multiple plants for specific health problems. Tea was the most common method for taking plant medicine since hot water extracts active compounds effectively. Timing the harvest affected medicine potency dramatically. Many healing compounds reach peak concentration just before the plant flowers. Others become strongest in fall after the first frost kills the leaves. Prevention was always preferred over treatment. Many medicinal plants were used regularly in small amounts to prevent illness rather than waiting until someone got sick. Medicine keeps you healthy, but you still need to make your food last through lean times. Food preservation without modern refrigeration means the difference between eating well all year and starving during winter months. Native American tribes developed brilliant methods to make fresh food last for months using only natural processes. Jerky making transforms fresh meat into lightweight, long-lasting protein that won't spoil. Cut meat into thin strips following the grain direction. Remove every bit of fat because fat spoils much faster than lean muscle. Making good jerky is like creating edible leather that actually tastes good. The key is consistent airflow combined with protection from flies and other insects. Tribes built drying racks from wooden poles and positioned them where steady breezes could circulate around the meat strips. They kept small fires burning nearby to create smoke that repelled bugs while adding flavor. Pemmican was the original energy bar, packed with everything needed for long journeys or harsh winters. The basic recipe combines equal parts powdered dried meat, rendered animal fat, and dried berries. Mix everything together while the fat is still warm and soft. Fat plays a crucial role in pemmican beyond just providing calories. Animal fat preserves the meat and berries while supplying essential nutrients that human bodies need to absorb certain vitamins. Underground storage created natural refrigeration systems that worked year-round. Tribes dug storage pits below the frost line and lined them with bark, stones, or clay. These earth cellars maintained steady, cool temperatures regardless of surface weather conditions. Smoking meat and fish requires more skill than simple air drying. The smoke adds distinctive flavors, but also contains natural chemicals that preserve food and kill harmful bacteria. Different wood types create different flavors. Hickory and oak produce strong flavors with excellent preservation properties. Winter became nature's giant freezer for tribes living in cold climates. When temperatures stayed below freezing for months, meat could be stored outside almost indefinitely. Tribes built raised platforms to keep frozen food away from scavenging animals. Timing was everything in food preservation work. Meat had to be processed immediately after killing an animal, especially in warm weather. Any delay meant food would start spoiling before preservation was complete. All this preserved food needs protection from weather and predators. Emergency shelter construction can save your life when you're caught in bad weather without proper equipment. Native American tribes mastered quick shelter building using whatever materials nature provided in their immediate surroundings. The debris hut offers excellent protection when built correctly using only natural materials. Start with a ridgepole about 9 feet long. Place one end on the ground and rest the other end on a sturdy support like a tree branch or large rock. Lean smaller branches against both sides of the ridgepole to create a basic framework. Space these ribs about 6 inches apart for good support. Pile on massive amounts of insulation. You need enough dead leaves, pine needles, grass, and moss to make your shelter look like a giant hamster nest. The entrance should face away from prevailing winds and be just large enough for you to crawl through. Small openings conserve body heat much better than large doorways. Location selection can mean the difference between comfortable sleep and miserable suffering. Avoid low areas where cold air settles overnight and where water might collect during rainstorms. Stay away from dead trees that could fall over in strong winds. Insulation works by trapping still air around your body. Dead air is like nature's down comforter, except you have to build it yourself. Compressed insulation loses most of its warming ability, so keep materials loose and fluffy. A raised sleeping platform prevents the ground from stealing your body heat all night long. Cold earth sucks warmth from your body faster than you can produce it, even in summer. Quick shelters for different weather conditions require different approaches. In snow country, dig caves into hillsides or large snowdrifts. In desert areas, focus on shade and ventilation rather than heat retention. Waterproofing your shelter matters more than most people realize. Even light rain can soak through loose debris and make you cold and miserable. Tribes used overlapping pieces of bark like roof shingles to shed water effectively. Having good shelter is worthless if you don't know which direction leads home. Natural navigation using only the sun, stars, and landscape features kept Native American tribes from getting lost during thousand-mile journeys across unmarked wilderness. These ancient techniques still work perfectly when modern technology fails. The sun provides your most reliable direction finder during daylight hours. It rises in the east, travels across the southern sky, and sets in the west. The sun's exact path changes throughout the year. In winter, it stays low. In summer, it climbs much higher overhead. The North Star is like a cosmic lighthouse that never moves while everything else spins around it. Finding Polaris requires locating the Big Dipper constellation first. Draw an imaginary line through the 2 stars forming the end of the Big Dipper's cup and extend it 5 times that distance. Moon navigation offers useful backup when you understand the patterns. A crescent moon with points facing right appears in evening sky and sets before midnight. Points facing left means it's a morning moon that rises before dawn. Rivers and streams flow downhill toward larger bodies of water and eventually toward civilization. Think of rivers as nature's highways, except they don't have rest stops or gas stations. Following water downstream usually leads somewhere, though it might take days or weeks. Animal trails often lead to important resources like water sources, feeding areas, or shelter spots. Well-worn paths through thick vegetation aren't random. They connect places animals need for survival. Natural landmarks served as waypoints for tribal navigation systems. Distinctive rock formations, unusually shaped trees, or unique geographical features don't move and don't change much over time. Mountains make excellent reference points because you can see them from many miles away. Shadow stick navigation provides accurate directions without any special equipment. Push a straight stick into level ground and mark the tip of its shadow with a stone. Wait 20 minutes and mark the shadow tip again. A line connecting these marks runs east to west. The old saying about moss growing on the north side of trees is about as reliable as weather forecasts. Moss grows wherever it's damp, which could be any side depending on local conditions. Knowing where you are means nothing if you can't protect yourself from what's out there. Wilderness threats can kill you faster than hunger, thirst, or exposure combined. Native American tribes developed sophisticated strategies for avoiding dangerous animals, choosing safe campsites, and protecting themselves while traveling through hostile territory. Predator track identification requires different skills than tracking prey animals. Mountain lion prints look like oversized house cat tracks, but without claw marks. Wolf tracks show claw marks and are larger than domestic dog prints. Bear tracks are unmistakable, huge paws with long claw marks. A hungry mountain lion sees you as a walking Happy Meal, so reading their signs correctly could save your life. Fresh mountain lion tracks with drag marks might indicate the cat hauling a kill to a cache site. Stay far away from these areas. Bear behavior changes dramatically based on season and food availability. Spring bears are hungry and cranky after months of winter hibernation. Summer bears focus on berry patches and fishing streams. Fall bears frantically eat to gain weight for winter. Wolf-pack dynamics create different dangers than solitary predators. Wolves are intelligent hunters that coordinate attacks to surround prey. Their tracks often show multiple animals traveling in single file to hide their actual numbers. Campsite selection can determine whether you wake up alive or become something's midnight snack. Avoid camping near game trails where animals travel regularly. Stay away from water sources where predators hunt. Choose elevated positions with good visibility. Moving quietly through wilderness requires practice and constant attention. Step heel to toe to minimize noise. Avoid stepping on dry leaves, brittle sticks, or loose rocks that shift underfoot. Stealth walking is like playing the world's deadliest game of the floor is lava. Night security requires completely different strategies than daytime safety measures. Most predators hunt during dawn and dusk when low light conditions favor their superior night vision. Maintaining a fire through the night provides light, warmth, and psychological deterrent. Weapon readiness means keeping essential defensive tools within easy reach without being paranoid. A sturdy walking stick doubles as an effective defensive weapon. Throwing rocks can discourage aggressive animals without escalating to deadly force. All these survival strategies work differently depending on what time of year you're using them. Seasonal adaptation separates survivors from casualties because strategies that work perfectly in summer can kill you in winter. Native American tribes survived by constantly adjusting their methods, locations, and priorities as environmental conditions changed throughout the annual cycle. Spring brings abundant new plant foods, but also creates dangerous conditions like flooding rivers and unpredictable weather patterns. Spring is like nature's way of reshuffling the deck just when you thought you knew the rules. Ground that was solid and frozen in winter becomes a swampy bog. Summer provides comfortable weather and plentiful food sources, but it also brings new survival challenges. Water sources that flowed strongly during spring snowmelt might dry up completely by midsummer. Forest fires become major threats during extended dry periods. Fall becomes preparation season when everything focuses on getting ready for winter survival. This means preserving as much food as possible, repairing shelters and clothing, gathering medicinal plants before frost kills them, and moving to protected winter camping areas. Winter survival required completely different strategies and priorities than other seasons. Fresh food became scarce or impossible to find, making preserved foods essential. Staying warm took precedence over almost everything else. Travel became dangerous during severe weather periods. Resource availability changes dramatically between seasons in predictable patterns. Spring offers tender young shoots and fresh greens. Summer brings berries, fruits, and abundant game animals. Fall provides the final harvest of nuts and seeds. Winter forces complete reliance on stored supplies. Shelter requirements change completely with temperature and weather patterns. Summer shelters prioritize ventilation and protection from rainstorms. Winter shelters focused entirely on insulation and heat retention. Spring and fall shelters needed flexibility to handle rapidly changing conditions. Weather prediction became a matter of life and death during seasonal transitions. Tribes learned to read natural signs indicating major weather changes. Animal behavior, cloud formations, wind patterns, and plant responses all provided advance warning about approaching storms. Timing was absolutely everything in seasonal survival planning. Starting winter preparations too early wasted precious energy and limited resources. Starting too late meant facing harsh weather without adequate preparation. Energy management became critical during the harshest seasons when mistakes could be fatal. Winter survival required careful rationing of both food calories and physical activity. Spring flooding demanded high energy output for emergency travel and shelter relocation. These seasonal adaptations required incredible depth of knowledge about local environments, accumulated over many generations of careful observation and testing. Mastering these ancient skills transforms you from helpless victim into confident survivor, prepared for whatever challenges nature throws your way.